I think we should be live really soon, if not now. I'm just gonna make sure, since I'm a very professional streamer, I'm gonna make sure on my phone that it's actually working. Because I'm not 100% certain. Yeah, it looks like we are up and running for the season finale of the ARC GT3 Championship. We have a close title fight, especially in the Split 1/Pro. Rankings between Tommy Cogan and Daniel Wright coming into the going into the final round of the season. So at the moment, Tommy Cogan is in the lead, and what Daniel Wright needs is to be placed, I think it's 4 places above Tommy Cogan at the end of the race to clinch the championship. In practice, he's currently the fastest driver on the grid, but this is pre-rain, and we do not really know what the conditions are going to be for quali or the rain, so it's going to be really interesting. On the other side, on the AM standings, or as they're called here, Split 2, Eric Chang is currently in the lead with, I think it was 23 points ahead of Michael LeBron. Currently, it's only 2 tenths between them here in a rainy Laguna Seca, and for LeBron to clinch the title, he'll need to place 5 positions above Eric Chang in the race. Quali is going to be incredibly important here, because the lack of overtaking opportunities on this track is a big issue for racing, although it is a very strange track to drive because of a bunch of the heavily cambered, both off and on camber corners, but also because its narrowness through the first sector makes it very hard to overtake. We should be going into quali any minute, and yeah, we're basically just waiting for that. Also, one thing that is worth mentioning, I do not have the skin pack downloaded, so you're not going to be able to see any of the amazing custom skins that happened, and that did not look good because Tommy Cogan just disappeared right in front of me. Is that... I think something's gone wrong here. Did the server die? It is... something has not worked as it's supposed to. I am gonna... Yep, I lost connection. So I'm gonna see if it's on the server side or if it's on my side.
Green light. Give it all you got.
Oh, well, server got restarted, apparently, and we are rejoining the server at the moment. And it looks like it's gonna be dry for qualifying, as we see Eric Chang starts doing donuts in his Bentley here. Yep, everything seems to be in order. Let's see how much practice people get before the before we go into the qualifying session. We should have a grid with about 30 cars today, with some new names and some known names from our sister community, Onid Racing, such as Ben Brown here, who has not been racing here before, but he is here in my personal favorite car, the Honda, which has sadly gotten hit with a new physics update. It is not as good as it once was around here. Also, one thing that is worth mentioning is that this is going to be Porsche country. The Porsche is extremely strong on this track, So expect the Porsches to be running away with a lot, at least in qualifying. It's going to be very fast. Other than that, looking at the standings, Alan Su currently running in, I think, third in the AM class. He's been around here for a long time, especially a long time in the AM class. He won the AM class last season, but decided to stay down there for this season, and is, as I mentioned before, currently running running third. For him to keep that third position, he needs to stay ahead of Hop Dog at the end of the race, who's currently in fourth in the McLaren. The McLaren is not a particularly strong car here, which is a blessing for Tommy Cogan, who has not really been faring too well after the tire model updates, at least not as well as Daniel Wright in the McLaren. The McLaren was one of the cars that actually benefited the most out of the update because it got its weight lowered on pretty much all of the tracks, even though, in my opinion, it already was one of the strongest cars on the track. The Porsche? Well, they got a bunch of weight added everywhere, and the new physics engine basically doesn't allow you to throw the car into the corners the same way you did before. So the Porsche is not that one-track wonder car as we knew it before, and is actually a bit more balanced. And another thing with a Porsche that is extremely tricky right now is that it's hard to get the front end to bite down now with the new physics engine, and that is why you just can't throw the car around as before. From the last race, which was Donington if I remembered correctly, I might be wrong though, we have two drivers getting moved up from the AM class to Pro, which is Sam Carasala and Mike Jones in the 50 Shades of Honda, which is an amazing name according to me. Them constantly qualifying in the top 10 and sometimes even top 5 basically got them moved up into Split 1/Pro because, well, they were much faster than the AM people. So good on them. As we see the AM driver who's coming out with Eric Chang leading the line. So for our only drivers who are driving here today, Johnny Ashley in the Bentley should be a decent car around here. As we see someone get bumped on pit exits, that is something that is going to be very interesting to have a look at in the race. Also, we have Ben Brown, as I mentioned before, who's not been racing here before, in my personal favorite car, the Honda. It's going to be interesting to see how the Honda does around here, because it's not as fast as the Porsche, but the BOP is still very good around here. Although it got hit quite a bit by the physics engine, so it has even less rotation than it did before on a lot of wing, which you want to run here. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna find Eric Chang there. He almost spins the car around completely going into the corkscrew, so he has a bit too much front end bite here. But the track is fast. It is not optimum, so the drivers are gonna have to deal with a lot less grip than what they're used to. So here we go. Coming up to the finishing straight, and we're gonna follow along a lap of Eric Chang in his POV. So, coming down in the downhill, you want to brake at the 3 board in the Bentley, angle the car, hit the first apex, let it run out a bit, wait until the front bites down, and then get back on throttle. Then you want to be faster to the left side, so you can brake in a straight line, and then turn the car in for this corner and on throttle when you hit the apex. Follow the left-hand curb to brake, and then throw the car in and hit the apex and get on throttle as soon as you can. Here, you want to for the next corner, you want to follow the right side, brake in a straight line, angle the car a tiny bit down to second, on throttle early. Do not run out wide on the curb because it will suck you down into the sand. Here, you need to commit. Shift down to third, throw the car into the blip because the car will stick. Get on throttle as soon as you possibly can once you know that the car is going to stick going through the corner. In the corkscrew, you want to brake when the curb starts. Angle the car towards the inside, slow in, fast out, as Eric Chang spins it! You need to hold the brakes there. There's more people coming up. This is gonna be sketchy. Is he out of the way? He's in the sand currently. It's a big train, of course. He should just try to keep out of the way here. Which he does. Okay, let's follow someone else for now. Okay, Johnny Ashley coming up to his final, going through the final turn, and now running towards the start finishing straight, and he puts a 1:24.5, which is a okay time around here. You would like to be around what should I say, a mid to low 23 probably, and the pro should be looking at a mid 22. It's a short track, so the time differences between the AM and the pro drivers shouldn't be too big in my eyes, but I might be completely wrong. So after the first laps around here, we have LeBron in second place in the AM class, which is good for his ambitions for today's race, with Eric Chang missing and having a spin, and therefore kind of not doing his tires any favors. Wonder is where is Chang at the moment? The number 308 car. He is in the middle of the pack, and we have a yellow flag in both sector 2 and sector 1. So Justin Robinson seems to have had an off. It's probably been into the wall, and Tim Wilkins have gotten on the outside and had a spin. It's very easy to spin the car around here. Eric Chang here, let's follow him for the final turn of the race. He probably has a bit of traffic, but if he gets close enough to David Jiang, is probably going to be able to get a tow. But David Jiang gets out of the way just to make sure that Eric doesn't get held up going into the final turn, and he posts a lap that is only good for 8th, but he's importantly only 1/10 behind LeBron, and that is very big for his ambitions on getting the championship at the end of this race, as LeBron improves his time by 7/10. That is a battle that is very worth watching. It just looks like Johnny Ashley with that 1:24.5 is very competitive, since he's 8/10 up on any other driver here, and that is very good by him. The pen club working out wonders for the British driver. See, Tom Castellani has spun round in sector 1, and he has got moving again. Does look like he has some damage. He almost impedes the Jaski's way there, but he gets out of the way good. While Andrew Jaski almost spins around the car. But there we go, a new driver. Both the only drivers are fighting it out at the moment, as Ben Brown does a 24-1 and therefore snatches provisional pole from Johnny Ashley, as he gets a bit untidy on the corner exit there. Eric Chang has now improved and is up to 5th, which puts him 2 places above Michael LeBron, and that is going to be very crucial going into the race. Another car that is going to be struggling around here a little bit are the Ferraris. The physics engine has not done that car any good. It is extremely tricky. As we see someone go off, who's that? He gets thrown out in the middle of the track as well. Jan Stam, one of the new drivers here, who I haven't seen before, had a big moment going into, I think, turn 4. Hitting the wall on corner exit. So he is back into the pits. The track is now optimum, so it has improved during qualifying, which is big, because this is the time for the AM drivers to set their absolute fastest lap, because the track state is much better than before. As we can follow along on Ben Brown and the mighty VTEC glorious turbo brake. Looks to be fighting a lot of understeer though, as I probably would imagine in the Honda. It looks very twitchy as well. we're gonna check also what engine map he is currently running. He is running map 4, which is the fastest one, so good on him. It's not running the Meta TC settings though. We have Tom Castellano in the wall here. I think his qualifying is done, so he's gonna finish as it stands now on 12th place, as Tim Wilkins is also in the pits in 17th. And now Michael LeBron has improved his time and is up to 4th, and that puts Eric Chang in 7th. Let's follow along on Chang then and see how he's doing. And I'll change view so we get... He is currently a 10th down on his lap. Going through the banked corner. A bit too slow, he needs to carry more speed through there. And keep the wheel straight. Oh, invalidated that lap. He needs to rush to the finishing line now to get that final lap in. We should see our pro drivers coming out in about 40 seconds time. And Michael LeBron is now up to 4th. I think he was up to 4th before, sorry about that. And Jaski has put in a time that puts him in 3rd place in the AM standings, which is really good. He came into the season in the middle of it, basically, and I think his first race was Spa, if I'm not mistaken. He had a good qualifying, but sadly crashed out during the race, but his showing in Donington showed that he is here to maybe even get promoted into pro in the future. Very solid drive from him on Donington. Let's follow our mainstay here, Alan Su, for a bit. Coming towards the corkscrew. Not using perhaps all of the road, but he is very cautious and he gets a good launch going out of the corkscrew. Lifts, feathers the throttle and gets on throttle on apex, exactly as you're supposed to do. Get towards the braking point, down to 3rd, turn the car in. Yeah, looks good. A bit too much speed, you want to be slower through and get on throttle earlier. As he finishes his lap and puts himself in 4th. A really good qualifying by him. As Swartz goes into 4th and puts Allen in 5th. And yeah, it's getting closer. Eric Sham puts it in 5th place. So improved on his final lap. Is LeBron still out and driving? Where is Michael LeBron? Yeah, he's driving here. I think he finished his lap just and is in 7th. So, after the AM qualifying, it is advantage Chang. Remember that fight going into the race here. So now, we're gonna follow our pro drivers. Rico Dyson, who won the Donington race after a solid performance, if I'm not mistaken. Fighting back from a early... from an early crash on lap 1 and managing to snatch the win with about 10 minutes left, if I'm not mistaken. Also, we have Tommy Cogan and Daniel Wright. This is the fight that we want to watch going into the final race, with Cogan being in the championship lead and Daniel Wright chasing him. Wright definitely has the yeah. Yep, no worries.